Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Osborn, and on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned throughout the course of their business so that we can learn from them as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, or endless social media posting. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborne, and the link to that will be in the show notes below. On today's show, our special guest is Chizubel Beluchi. He's the owner of The Risk of You, where he provides risk consultancy services and training. So, Chizubel, thank you so much for being on the show. And I want to start off by asking you a question that I always love to start off with, which is this: if you somehow were able to go back and start all over again in your business, knowing what you know today, what would you do differently in the first 12 months?
Wow, I love that question. And I really do wish I knew what I know now, 10, 20, 30 years ago. My life would be different in
Yeah.
terms of the decisions I've made. And so what I'll do different will be in business, one of the first things I would do, learning from my mistakes in the past, is first of all, deciding and defining what that purpose I want to achieve with my business is. I find
Mm,
that that's the fundamental thing, and that's what I do now. That's what I teach. That's what I share with my clients, people I work with, people I train. You've got to define the purpose and make it clear. If it's an organization, if your workforce do not know the purpose they are working towards to, it's pretty much like pouring water into a basket. It will not hold because you have
yeah.
people going in different direction. And that's one thing I would do differently. And what that does, it gives you a pedestal, almost like a rocket fuel, to move faster towards the destination and to do so
Yeah.
much, much more consciously with the purpose in focus.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I love that. Is there anything that you have learned that has helped you fine tune that purpose and create a little bit more clarity around that?
Yes, absolutely. I've read a lot of books. I mean, before we started recording, we talked about Grant Cardone briefly, and learning from people like that have helped me refine and clarify my message. And more importantly, I did work with a coach. I had a coach who, was mentoring me for a number of months actually, and he helped me really make clear what it is I want to focus on, what that purpose is, what its offer is, what the offer of
Mm,
that purpose is, and what that did was to enable me stand out from the noise out there because
mm,
you got so many people doing almost the same thing. I mean, I don't like being called a risk consultant, but that's just a generic term, because if you call me a risk consultant, you automatically think of me like anybody else, you might, but
yeah.
I just want to be clear about my own purpose, which is why I've made it clear through how I define what risk is,
Mm,
and my message is to ensure that people understand risk as they themselves. That's why my company is called The Risk of You, because you
mm,
are the risk, whether you're a person or you're
mm.
an organization, a business, a project, small, medium, or large, you are the risk. And how you manage yourself in relation to that purpose you're seeking to achieve determines the outcome, whether it's success or failure.
Yeah, I love that. That's really powerful. That's really, really good. Well, when you talk about that, the risk of you, one of the things that I've seen a lot when people are growing their business is the challenge of scaling it because you have to bring in other team members or you get spread really thin. And oftentimes, as you're growing, you can become a lot more spammy in the way you're communicating because you're just trying to get more leads coming in and stuff. And so, one of the questions I always love to ask is this. What's been the hardest part of growing your business, scaling what you do without becoming salesy or spammy?
People, people,
Yes.
people, that's the biggest risk. That's the
Yes.
biggest challenge. And, that risk comes with its ups and downs, and it's not people, it's people in terms of the team I try to build, and having people who are of like mind, who really get the purpose you want to achieve is one of the biggest
Mm,
things, because you need that team to understand not just the purpose, but how to communicate that purpose with the potential clients, the leads that we're trying to
mm,
draw in. Because if that messaging is wrong from the get-go, you pretty much lost that client, or
yeah.
that lead, whether it's, cold lead or warm lead, you've pretty much lost them if the message is not clear because it sends the message, I'm not sure about what I'm selling.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't go to a client and say you are not sure, but we do that in our messaging, in how we communicate that message.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think everyone should really know, that because I do get a lot of messages. I do get a lot of spammy messages every single day.
Every day.
And the
Yeah.
question I sometimes ask some of them if I bother to reply is, what do you know about me? What do you know
Mm,
about my company? What do you know about what I do? How do you know
mm,
how different it is from the other clients that you think are, risk consultants that you
yeah.
contact? So it's always important to be clear,
Yeah.
on what that messaging is.
Yeah, yeah, it's so important because there is a lot of spam out there, but just for me personally and the clients we work with, it's about the relationship, and we work with clients who want to generate leads based on relationship led lead generation as
Yeah.
opposed to all the spammy nonsense. So I love what you're saying with that. Um,
But there's nothing
on
wrong in going cold. Sorry, let me just,
yeah,
say
yeah,
one
yeah,
more thing. There's nothing wrong in going in cold.
sure,
You can still do cold, you can still go in cold to a
yeah,
potential client, someone you don't know, you've never met, but it's how you open that conversation up.
yeah,
Because they also, like you and I, probably get all those spammy messages as well. So how does it stand out?
yeah,
Whether it's through LinkedIn, whether it's through an email, whichever way. The end
yeah,
of the day, you want to build a relationship with that person, so that way you get to understand what they do, what the problem is. They can
yeah,
share that information with you, what the problem is, and whether what you have to offer, solves that problem. And sometimes you
yeah.
just have to be honest. I'm sorry, I'm not the right guy for you.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you. And I love that approach. Absolutely. There's nothing worse when you're on something, a call with someone, and they're just trying to force you to believe that you need it. It's like, I don't need it though. And it's something that's really interesting is when someone does say that, like, I actually don't think it's as a fit. As a matter of fact, I was just on a prospecting call earlier today, and I was just really honest with the person. I said, look, I I know what we do will work for you, but what you charge is a lot lower. And if you want to move forward, you can do, but that's gonna be your call because the ROI on this is gonna be a lot lower. And they're like, do you know what? I really like your approach. You're just honest. I'm like, well,
Exactly.
yeah. It's like why wouldn't I be? I don't
Yeah,
understand that.
absolutely.
So which leads on to the whole thing around this. And I'd love to get your take on this, Chisabel, because um I know I'm looking forward to your answer to this. I have no idea what it'll be. But what's the one thing you changed in how you build relationships that makes the whole sales process just feel easier for you?
Confidence.
Mm,
I mean, I've always been a confident person, but it's adjusting that confidence to the person, to the audience. Now, you could go in with the right you could go in, confident, about what you have to offer, but the person may find you a bit overbearing. So I
mm,
let people, I'll let them come. If it's the first time I've met you, I want to gauge you to know how to approach and balance. It's almost like, surfing and the waves of the sea. You've got to gauge that wave to know how to ride it. And it's the same
mm,
thing with, confidence. We go into a room, sometimes we just go boom, 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 and we just, put so much,
mm.
we overwhelm, our audience, and that's
Yeah,
we don't want to do that because they'll come out saying, "Oh my goodness, I just found him too much to bear. I didn't even hear what you're
yeah,
saying." So it's gauging that, and then coming down to their level. and then communicate, talk, and let that whole thing, flow
Mm,
naturally, just like the waves in the sea. And
yeah.
that's one thing I've, come to learn in how I
Mm,
present, myself, present my offer, whether it's through a training seminar or one-to-one conversations, it's
yeah.
just gauging the room, gauging the person, and then let my confidence do the talking.
I love that. I love that. Such a great answer. And I like the analogy you have of the waves of the sea because, that is how we are as people, and you have to kind of ride that wave. And sometimes you have to be a little bit more relaxed. And sometimes you need to know kind of when to be not pushes and being salesy pushy, but, there are sometimes you do need to push a little bit more and just right in that. I love that. That's a great analogy.
Yeah,
Really, really good.
because the reality is, at the end of the day, as people, we are selling every single day of our lives.
Yeah.
Whether it's in business or in personal, professional life, we are selling because we're talking to people. We want people to listen to us. Give it for people to give us their attention is almost like exchanging currency.
Yeah.
Although it's not
Yeah.
money, in a personal circumstance or whatever, in let's just say dating, for example, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You want that prospective, woman or man to say, "Oh, I like him," or "I like her," So it's again, we are selling who we are. We are selling the value
Yeah.
we have as individuals so that we can build
Yeah.
friendships, build relationships, and then everything else comes after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're preaching to the choir here, Chizabel. Like this, I love this stuff. It's like, yes, this is exactly what like it's all about that, isn't it? It's about just being real, being human and building relationships and stuff. So, well,
Absolutely.
if you look at the business over the next 2 to 3 years, what are your goals? What would you like to achieve in your business?
Build more clients, go a bit more international. I've spent a lot of my time in the UK, going international. There are a few places in Europe I'm trying to open up.
Oh,
Middle East
nice.
is an area as well. I did have a team just about 2 years ago. We're prospecting the Middle East. We have built some really good relationships. I'm going to go back there. I did actually
Mm,
start taking Arabic lessons last year. So I did some
nice.
Arabic lessons. I'm not that great. Don't even ask me to say anything in Arabic.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
that great. But one thing that the Arabic lesson, they teach me is the custom, the customs, how to approach
Mm,
the Arabs. They're a lot more conservative, and what I loved about that whole experience when I had that team in the Middle East, is the fact that it brought back a whole lot of data
mm,
about how that region have been served with risk, through some of the big name consultants you and I know about, the big fours and all
mm,
that stuff. And,
mm.
at least two of those companies build a really close relationship with the head of risk in those companies. And they shared really personal information with me, which I'm, building on. So those are the
Mm.
kind of that's where growth is looking at for me, and hopefully as well. I'm working on a platform as well, an e-learning platform. So these are things I've been building on, and I'm hoping this
Amazing.
year would lead to those. In addition
Yeah.
to my next book, I'm working on my third book. I'm not sure if you know this is so that was out last year. Get
Very
Rich or
good.
Get Lost. So I'm working on my next one. So this one I'm still doing a bit of touring. I just started my first location last in December. So I'm hoping to be in Milton Keynes and London in the next few months before I take it to Zurich and Spain. So people want me to come there as well. So that's how growth is looking at for me. And
That's
again, through all
amazing.
this, I'm building relationships, getting to know people,
Mm,
and let people understand, the difference between my risk offering in comparison with what's out there.
yeah. Yeah. Love it, man. Such a great goal. And man, I wish you all the best in it as well.
Thank
I
you.
just
Thank you.
just feeling your vibe on this. I know you'll reach that for sure. So, well, Jisabel, for people that are looking to get in touch with you, what's the best place for them to do that?
So I'm on LinkedIn, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram as well. Or you can also learn a little bit more about me through my website, chizubelbeluchi.com. So it's CHIZUBELBELUCHI.com. So you can learn a bit more about me and what I do on my website as well.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I definitely recommend everyone checking out Chizabel. If you feel the same energy from him as I have on this podcast, you definitely want to check him out. So, Chizubel, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a great privilege having you on. Some really great answers to the questions that I've asked. So, thank you for that. And as a reminder to everyone listening, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates, all the spammy stuff that we were just talking about. Me and Chizubel, we don't do any of that nonsense. I'm going to find out more. Direct message me on LinkedIn, have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn. And the link to that will be in the show notes below. And until next episode, stay inspired.